Well, it is certainly our privilege to be at Solutions Day. I was at the first Solutions Day in 2016. I feel like I should have a t-shirt that says I survived it, but it's good to be back again. So yes, we are IntelliData, and we're going to be talking about trusted partnership leads to innovative solutions. And we have John Stensland on video with us as well. Do you want to go ahead and advance it, Denny? So I'm Jay Daughtry, Director of Business Development.
Hey, John, go ahead, John. Or my name is Denny Lengkong, and I'm a founder and president of IntelliData. And John will introduce himself.
Hey, I'm John Stensland. I'm Director of IT and Finance at Minnesota Medical Association.
All right, so we'll give a sec. We're gonna need to pump up the volume a little bit. John, can you say something?
Yeah, did you hear me?
Yep, now we can. Okay, good. All right, awesome.
So who is IntelliData? We are an IT consulting company based out of Northern Virginia with a nationwide clientele. We've been in business since 2014. In fact, we just celebrated our 7th anniversary last month. We specialize in associations and nonprofit organizations. And as you can see, we have extensive staff experience in the space. So I won't take the time to look at, show all the logos and highlight all of them. But in addition to the Minnesota Medical Association, we work with the Texas Hospital Association, the Society for Neuroscience, Auto Care Association, and other organizations, again, nationwide. So the areas that we focus on, everything related to data. So it's in our name, IntelliData, but everything from data conversion and data cleanup to analytics, migrations, AMS integrations, dashboards, reports. And then the subject of our talk today is really along the lines, or the focus will be on the custom web and application development. So we do a lot of AMS integrations. We've done a lot of transitions from one system to another. We've got some of the representative slides up there, but everything from Salesforce-based products like Fontiva to Dynamics CRM with ProTech to some of the other systems that are proprietary like ACGI and Personify. So I'm going to turn it over to John now, who's going to give a brief overview of the Minnesota Medical Association.
Thanks, Jay. The MMA is Minnesota's largest professional membership organization, association for physicians and physicians in training. Our mission is to be the leading voice of medicine to make Minnesota the healthiest state and the best place to practice. We publish a bi-monthly magazine called Minnesota Medicine. We do electronic newsletters weekly. We deliver continuing medical education activities, and we accredit organizations to deliver that CME also. Members engage with us by volunteering on committees, attending events, participating in advocacy, serving as mentors, and accessing education. And what we find out also is they help with our policy making now after a recent development by IntelliData for us.
All right, so, all right, it's on, right? Okay, cool. So how do we, how we engage with the MMA? Initially, we started working with the MMA roughly about 7 years ago. We're one of the implementation partner for the AMS that they're using, and they were MMA was having challenges pulling data out of, as you guys typically knows, a lot of the AMSs have complicated database, complicated data structure. So they were having challenges pulling the right data. They could use base reports, they could pull the base reports, but as you know, the base reports can go so far. Sometimes it's not correct. Sometimes they cannot figure out what the what the specific things that they're looking for. So initially we started with working with MMA for pulling custom report, pulling data out of the AMS. Roughly about 4 years ago, we started engaging them with support. MMA was working with the vendor. The responsive time, and the cost was a little, was not what they were looking for. Was not what they expected. So they approached us. So we started outsourcing so they outsourced the support to us. So we've been doing the AMS support for them. By the way, AMS is a association management system or software for those of you guys who don't know what that stands for. From there, we start working with their Board of Medical Practice BMP process, and then we'll go into those three into a little more detail in the presentation. And from that, we did their AMS upgrade, and the latest project that we did for MMA is the online policy tool, which is called the Pulse. So.
Yeah, so as Denny mentioned, it's really been a journey, right, from initial engagement to where there were greater and greater needs. So I guess, John, first of all, tell us a little bit about what your challenges were with what's called the Board of Medical Practice process.
Yeah, the MMA receives updated physician data from the Board of Medical Practice in Minnesota. We call it BMP. We received that information monthly, and we were manually updating, which, the issues we were encountering were, the amount of staff time used to update the information, and also accuracy of the data, missed data or just human error. So we approached IntelliData about creating an automated process.
So we created an automated process for them to integrate with their AMS. What it does is it pulls the data automatically from the source, and then compares the data from that source with the AMS data and see if it matches, or see if they match. If they don't, we update some of the fields, such as gender, medical degree, and all that stuff. Or we can, and in addition to that, we added some more records. For example, for addresses, instead of updating the address right away, we insert a new address just to make sure that the staff can verify the address and make sure it's correct before we move forward. We could technically automate that, but MMA requested us just to create a new record. We did that, and based on that, the impact was pretty successful, right, John?
Yeah, I mean, once it was implemented, MMA, we were able to shift approximately a half an FTE to other areas that we needed to help. So it saved a significant amount of time for our company, and obviously our data is timely and more accurate than it's ever been. So yeah, it was a big change for us.
Right, since it's an automated process, it eliminates the manual entry, manual error, and things like that. So.
So the next phase of our relationship with the Minnesota Medical Association has to do with the AMS upgrade. But in addition to your considerations with the AMS or association management software, John, I know you were dealing with a lot of other technologies that you were looking to make changes with, so you could speak to that and that whole picture.
Yeah, this was a huge project, really. All of MMA software was several versions behind, some nearing the end of their support from the vendors. So we needed to update our server operating system, database, mail and office applications, our website, our AMS, accounting, reporting, and document imaging software. All of it were old. In addition, we were moving to a new cloud-based hosted solution. So, I got quotes from our AMS vendor, and I also reached out to IntelliData.
So when John approached us, we had to work diligently, just because what he just mentioned. They have multi-system upgrades, so we had to make sure that we work together. We collaborate with them, with a bunch of different vendors. We had to make sure that whatever that we did is not breaking anybody's job, anybody's work previously and after that. And also we had to work with the AMS vendor, make sure to get the appropriate files, the appropriate licenses, and we managed to do that well enough. And the most important thing is on time and on budget, which is one of the prerequisite the MMA was asking. So, right, John?
That's right. The finance part of my job is, yes, on budget, and the IT part was on time. The project was completed, as Denny said, on time. On budget. The MS upgrade touched the website, mail and accounting software. So, IntelliData had to integrate and work with all of these other vendors, outside vendors. So I was very concerned going in on the AMS part, because it touched so many different points. And it's probably our most complex software. But it went very smoothly. And just an FYI, we did receive a quote from our AMS vendor. And when we decided to go to IntelliData, we were able to upgrade for less than half of the cost quoted by the AMS vendor. So it was not only well done, but done at a fair price.
That's good. Thank you.
So the focal point we want to leave you with today is what we call an online policy tool, or MMA calls it the Pulse. John, give us a little bit of the background of what this kind of functionality means for Minnesota and the history of that.
Sure. MMA, excuse me, I'm having trouble talking here. MMA members voted to eliminate its House of Delegates to establish a policy council in its place back in 2018. We wanted to give our members a better way to propose policies and to give them a voice to vote on proposed policies. Colorado Medical Society had developed an online policy tool that was used as a blueprint that we used at the MMA. And Colorado also helped us during our discovery phase. So, all the credit to Colorado for coming up with a great idea and even assisting us in the planning. We wanted the Pulse to do 4 different things. We wanted members to be able to submit policy proposal for MMA consideration. We wanted to give them the ability to vote and provide feedback on proposed policy before our board takes action. And not only that, vote on and give feedback after the board has decided. And then they can allow them to go and monitor existing proposals of the MMA.
So when MMA was asked us to do that, we had we talked to Colorado Medical Society and figure out what they had. And what they did was they had a older system. They built everything with I don't know if you guys know, the software is called FileMaker Pro. It's an outdated system, and we tried to make it. We tried to modernize it. We make it online. So when we made it online, it's still it's accessible through phone, tablet, laptop, whatever you call it. We kind of basically make it a future proof. We also did a little write back to the MS. So when members vote, any of their activities it's written back to the MS that we can use as part of the engagement scoring. So again, we modernized the tool, and then we did. And the last thing that we did, we tried to make it AMS independent, just in case, as you know, associations change AMS every now and then. We try to make AMS independent, so in case MMA decides not to use what they're using right now and move to a different AMS, it's it's not a redo. It's just a little tweak. So that's what we tried. That's what we did. And this the video that we're gonna show next is just a preview of what we did for the Pulse.
As a member organization, the MMA wants to hear from you. The diversity of MMA member specialties, geographies, opinions, and experiences results in better organizational decisions and policy positions. The Pulse, the MMA's online policy development and polling tool, allows members a convenient way to influence the policies and actions of the MMA. Members have the opportunity to provide said input before and after the MMA Board of Trustees takes action. 3 weeks before a proposal is scheduled to be discussed by the MMA Board of Trustees, you will receive an email asking for your input. Clicking the personalized link in this email will automatically log you into the Pulse and direct you to issues open for voting. Once you have selected the proposal of interest, you can now vote. The thumbs up indicates support. The thumbs down indicates opposition. You may also select a neutral option. Additionally, you may add a comment to your vote. Keep in mind that your vote and any comments you leave will be linked with your name for transparency. Now save your vote and your comments. Once your vote is submitted, you can see the votes and comments of your peers. You can also filter poll results by trustee district or membership type. Please note that while proposals are not adopted or rejected based on the Pulse voting, your input is crucial in shaping the final decisions of the board. You can also use the Pulse to review the votes, comments, and board actions for previous proposals. First, click on the Proposal Archive button in the upper ribbon here. Click on the meeting date that corresponds to the policy proposal of interest. To see the original proposal and its pre-board voting results, click the View Original Proposal and Pre-Board Voting option. To see the MMA Board of Trustees action and post-board voting results, click on the hyperlink title of the proposal. That's it. The Pulse makes it easy for you to raise your voice and influence the work of the MMA. We hope you will use the Pulse to help develop and shape MMA policy solutions. Together, we will make Minnesota the healthiest state and best place to practice medicine.
Hopefully you get the idea, but that's how easy members can vote, and it's very interactive. They could sort things, everything within that, and then, like I said, any activities that they did on the Pulse gets written back to the AMS as a part of engagement scoring. And John, you guys have been using the Pulse since June 2020, I believe, right? And it's been about a year, a little over a year and a half. And then what was the impact of the Pulse?
I mean, the biggest impact has been probably the board seeing members, their input into proposed policy. And so they're making better decisions based on how our members feel. It's improved MMA's member engagement greatly. Over the past few years, our engagement has jumped, partly because of the pandemic and things we were doing to keep people informed, our physicians informed, but also the Pulse has greatly increased our member engagement. We also had Indiana State Medical Association. They've customized a version of the Pulse to their AMS, and currently Wisconsin Medical Society is implementing a similar version to their AMS. So, and one other note, we forwarded this to the AMSI Profiles of Excellent Awards program under advocacy for 2021. And it was selected for recognition in the advocacy category. So I'm very proud and happy that others could see, the difference that this tool makes for us.
Thank you, John. And with that concludes our presentation. Any questions for us or John?
Yeah, guys, there was a question that came in. So as we're all sitting here thinking about our data, what is the one thing you recommend we improve our data practices over the next, couple of months? What would you recommend we focus on?
If I were to say, if someone asked me that questions, I would say, you have your data, and that also implies in our slogan too, right? You have your data, use it. Yes, a lot of times you don't know where to pull the data, and this is where all the partners are here for. And we can help with all the challenges that you have, but you have the data. How you can make sense out of it, we can help. But that's probably the number one step that I would recommend, because that's knowing your data and make a good informed decision based on your data is crucial for your associations.
Yeah, I guess related to that is, where should we focus that energy? Where do you think the best opportunity, i.e. membership or meetings, is for associations to grow by better using their data?
And that also that's a tough question, but also it's because like what Terry was saying with the non-dues revenue, right? We can focus on a section that's your revenue generating department, like memberships and meetings or events, right? Or you can focus on the non-dues revenue. We could focus on both, but again, that's usually an internal discussion what you want to focus on. But again, those are if I were to say, it's usually when clients come to us, the membership, meetings or events, and certification, those are the three biggest department that they wanna focus on. Besides that's the dues. Besides the non-dues revenue, that's done a little differently.
Okay, great. I know there was a couple other questions in the chat, and it looks like John addressed those for those members as well.
Yeah, I'm just getting on the question on retention. That's what I was just typing up, and
Yep.
that's a great quick question.
John, can you repeat the question?
I'm sorry. Yes. It says, John, has the Pulse survey impacted retention with your members or expanded engagement within member firms? So the answer is yes. So in 2021, our retention rate was better than, we went back 10 years and better than any of the past 10 years that we've had. Part of that, we did a lot with the pandemic. So I can't attribute it all to the pulse, but it definitely had, plays a part in our retention. How much, I can't say, but yes, it definitely helped with our retention.
And as John said too, Indiana State Medical Society just implemented this. They call it also the Pulse, roughly about 4 months ago, and they've been receiving great feedback from the members. And Wisconsin is doing that, and they call it Policy Link, which is kind of like similar. But then Indiana and Wisconsin use same AMS, and Minnesota use a different AMS. So we could integrate this with different AMS. So it's not MS dependent. So. And
then there's also a question. There's from Valerie about, do we use the Pulse for comments on the House of Delegates resolutions? We no longer have a House of Delegates, but we have a policy council. And yes, before the board votes whether to, accept or to modify or to reject a proposed policy, all of our members have the chance to not only vote on it, but to comment on, to give their comments on it. So yes, it's a very important part is to include the comments.
Gotcha.
Great. I think you guys addressed all the questions. That's great.
Awesome. All
and
right.
John, thanks for joining us,
John, thanks for joining us
remotely.
Sorry,
good job, guys.
Yep. Feel free to reach out.
Thank you.